Yesterday we learned about John Brown and his part in what happened in the Kansas Territory with the fighting between anti-slavery and pro-slavery men in that territory. Well, when John Brown leaves the Kansas Territory, he's not done yet. He has another plan, and he travels to start to get support for his plan. He travels to Rochester, New York, to try to get Frederick Douglass to support and back his plan. He travels to Massachusetts, to Springfield, to Boston to get money from abolitionists in the state, to get them to supply him with money, with guns, and to try to recruit people. Okay? Basically, his plan is in Virginia, which in a part of Virginia that is now West Virginia, but West Virginia didn't exist before the Civil War. There's an armory, okay, and an arsenal, a federal armory and a federal arsenal. Armory is where you make the guns, the arsenal is where you store them. So his plan is that he's going to start a slave revolt. He is going to take a group of followers down there. They get some weapons like pikes, like spears, that they're going to arm the people who come, that they're going to use to arm themselves, and they're going to go attack the armory. And basically his plan is that when the slaves hear that he is there to free them, they're going to run away from his masters. They're going to join his army, and together they're going to raid and attack southern plantations and free slaves, basically. Just kind of sum it up a little bit. So this is his plan. Okay, and to put that plan into effect, he goes and asks for money from Northern abolitionists, and they have secret committees, because obviously this is really, really against the law, that are going to back him in this plan. And so he heads down to Virginia. He kind of rents a farmhouse outside of Harper's Ferry where he gathers, he watches what's going on, he checks out the area, and then people come there and they join him and get ready for this raid. In October of 1859, John Brown and his men, about 21 men, set out to steal weapons from the arsenal. The problem is that all these slaves that he thought were going to come and help him once they heard he was there, that didn't happen. Okay? And so basically, him and his men kind of retreat inside the engine house, like a mini fire station at the armory in Harper's Ferry, and they get surrounded. Militia come in, Marines come in. There's a group of soldiers actually led by two important, who will be important generals during the Civil War, Robert E. Lee, who's a colonel at the time, and Jeb Stuart, who is a lieutenant at the time, who will both fight for the Confederacy. They come in, and basically the next morning, they storm the engine house, they kill some of his men, they arrest John Brown, they take him to jail. Okay? So John Brown is kind of like a terrorist, basically, back then. But as he's in jail and he has his trial, he's got this really kind of way of presenting himself, this demeanor, and he's a good speaker. And all of a sudden, he starts to gather some admirers. And people are like, maybe he's not that crazy. Maybe he's got something going for him. Maybe he's right. And so people in the North start to be like, whereas people in the South freak out and be like, this guy is crazy, okay? So this causes a divide between North and South. Basically, he gets sentenced to death. He's a traitor, he gets hung, but the problem with hanging him and killing him for his crimes is he becomes what we call a martyr, somebody who dies for a cause, and it kind of makes him a hero in a lot of people's eyes. And also, this whole situation further divides North and South against each other and helps bring us closer and closer to Civil War. Now, there's a quote he says, and I wrote it down here. I want to get it right. He says, "I, John Brown, am now quite certain that the crimes of this guilty land will never be purged away but with blood." So it seems like he could almost predict the coming of the Civil War. And at this point, it's easy for us to look back and see that it's coming. Some people back then might not have thought it was going to come to that, but events are rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling, and we're getting to the point of no return. Something is going to happen between the North and the South because it can't go on like this anymore.